We are very much a business family. There's no question about it. We try to maintain some free time and have some thing besides of a life besides work. But
we spend most of our days waking up talking about business and going to bed talking about business. Like it's very much essentially who we are, and we live and breathe everything.
What's up, guys? In today's episode, we talk with Foreign Co., a co-working space that's out of Tampa Bay, Florida. This is a family business, and we learn about the growth of their family business and what they've learned along the way. This is actually a two-part episode, and in this first part, we hear about what Foreign Co. is, how they really got here, and what their dreams are along the way for their brand. Check it out. What's up, guys? Welcome to our podcast.
Awesome to be here.
Yeah, you guys had me on your podcast once. Now I have you on my podcast.
Uh-oh.
Ironically, it was the same room and same setup.
However, the spotlight is not on us yet.
It will be. As always, we're going to start with our drink. And you are not a whiskey drinker, but you have agreed to try our peanut butter whiskey.
I will. Okay.
All right. It's really easy to have it neat. Okay. Here at Paper Jacket Podcast, we spare no expense, except for other side tables. So you're gonna have to reach over. And a microphone stand, by the way.
I was gonna say that, but I don't want to be mean.
Hey, I want to let you guys know that we have decided to purchase 2 microphone stands. Technically 4. We have 2 table ones and 2 boom ones, so we can stop asking you guys for mic stands.
I'm just wondering where
Christmas came
went.
early. Christmas came early.
It did. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah. Here we go. Cheers. Yeah. All right. You gotta let me know.
Is it down in one shot, kind of?
We sip around here.
All I need now is a Haagen-Dazs chocolate and peanut butter ice cream.
You like it?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Started me on something new.
The face you gave me, you're like either upset that you like it or like...
Yes, I'm upset that I like it. That's exactly right.
There's a lot of things you haven't tried in life that you're upset that you would like it.
I mean it.
Let's just open up an entire world of possibilities for...
yeah, all I want right now is chocolate and peanut butter ice cream. That's what it tastes like.
You know what I've also done before is I put chocolate bitters in this before.
Oh.
I wouldn't say it's like a Reese's automatically, but it does give it a nice
I feel like you should
flavor.
make like an old-fashioned espresso martini with this, that without any coffee in it.
You're obsessed with
But you can make
martinis.
a flavored espresso martini old-fashioned.
See, he's obsessed with espresso martinis.
They're good.
If we go out to dinner, 2 things have happened to Pierre in the last couple of weeks. We went out. Someone thought he was my boyfriend.
No, yeah, we were dating.
Yeah. Which is like, ew, from both of us.
It's like either she looks that young or I look that old. One's an insult.
It's both.
And the other is that I am not the one that orders the espresso martinis when we go out.
Yeah, you're never a coffee drinker.
You're right, but you're like, that's a girl's drink.
I've never said that.
Hey, that is not true.
It is.
No,
it's not.
The
An
great
apple
majority of
teeny.
espresso martinis are
An
drunk
apple
by-
teeny is a girl's drink. An espresso martini is not. It is a genderless drink.
First of all,
Genderless drink.
you guys keep saying espresso, and it's like driving me absolutely crazy.
Espresso.
It's espresso.
Espresso.
There's no X
Just
in
like
there.
it's not Ibiza, it's Ibiza.
Second, it's not a woman's drink. Like that could be a gentleman's drink. You do it right, and I promise you. And I know it sounds like I'm just tooting my own horn here, which I am.
Toot toot.
But I make the best espresso
See,
martini.
one sip, look at it. You've already got it going.
No. I have witnesses that have told me like my espresso martini better than anyone they'll ever get at any bar.
You got a new house guest. His name is Pierre.
Hey, your competition is a 6'6" Italian woman in Italy making Italian espresso martinis.
Okay. You may have
That's
me.
your competition.
I don't know. You may have me there. Okay. What was okay?
Can you make a
tiramisu?
tiramisu?
That should be on Victoria's Secret
No.
runway model.
I'm not a baker.
Okay, so story of tiramisu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had another topic for the day, but we're going to talk about tiramisu right now. Pierre was 11. He was in soccer camp in England, very lonely because he was left alone as a small child by his parents.
Should also mention I got shipped to England at 11 years old by myself. by my parents, got banished to that godforsaken hellhole they call England.
That you love.
I do love England. I'm sorry, it's not a hellhole.
You got shipped there when you were 11? One story at a time. Tiramisu.
Soccer camp, he was kind of a prodigy player, and they took him and held on to him.
And they gave you back?
They found out I was American. They're like, get back.
You said he was Egyptian.
This kid's whining for his mother. Send him home. Egyptian kid wouldn't do that.
Sorry, I didn't have oligarch parents that didn't even care where I was.
Yeah, right. So we send his uncle and wife, whose wife is Italian, born and raised on a farm outside of north of Venice. Beautiful lady, but she can also make a lasagna from scratch with her own noodles. It takes about 2.5 hours. She'll have a very casual, very comfortable conversation with you the entire time she's making the meal, not sweat one single time, and make it seem effortless, like it's just the easiest thing in the world. Inside, you're going, how did she do that? Because there's no way you can make your noodles and sauce and all this stuff from scratch, and it comes out perfect. She also does the same with the tiramisu. So when he got shipped to England and he felt lonely, needed some home, Uncle and his wife came and picked him up, brought him back to their home. She made him her homemade lasagna and tiramisu, and he then has sworn off every tiramisu ever since the rest of his life. There is not one that comes even close to hers. We went to Italy, 21 straight days he tried tiramisu. Not one of them matched hers.
Shockingly, kind of somewhat just comes into the same atmosphere.
What?
Publix tiramisu. Shout out
Really?
Publix.
Publix.
They got it down.
Yeah, consistent. I have to say that.
It's not bad.
So you're like, hold on. You went, first of all, I kind of tend to agree. I think if I was 11 years old, missing home, and then my aunt comes over and makes this tiramisu from scratch,
yeah.
And for some reason, because we're closer to Italy, it's going to taste better because it's in England.
They're not poisoning you with their food. That's why.
Well, there is that. But I think I would tend to agree that was the best tiramisu I've ever had in my life. But now it's like I was about to give that recognition of respect, and it's like, or this grocery store out of Florida,
right?
Their tiramisu, man.
But in all fairness,
Publix is good. Publix is good.
It's not bad. That's
they
all I'm
don't
saying.
saturate the ladyfingers
They
unnecessarily.
don't do this heavy cream crap where it's mostly cream with cinnamon on top and a not even soaked finger bread. At the bottom, you're and they try to pass it off as tiramisu. You're this is cake flavored. This is a cake that's flavored to be tiramisu.
Tiramisu is cake.
But it's not. But it is. But it's not.
There's actually no
I can
cake.
drink to that.
There's actually no cake in tiramisu.
It's more like a
not.
sponge than it is like a cake.
It's I mean, okay, yeah. How do you classify a cake?
It's exactly
right.
It's a cake, but it's not a cake.
Yeah.
But it kind of is a cake.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think an ice cream sundae is actually a salad.
Does that count in your house?
What, you got fruits and toppings.
Maraschino cherries are fruit, huh? Bananas. I guess bananas.
What did you call it just now? I just call them candied cherries.
Maraschino.
Maraschino cherries?
Yeah.
Can you have a maraschino cherry without a cherry? No? So it's a fruit.
Oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Can't just make it. It's got to grow from somewhere.
Fair.
Yep. So it's cherry. It's a fruit. Yep.
Can you tie a knot with the stem?
I am not gifted in my tongue skills. No.
Yeah, that's a talent apparently only some people can do. I never mastered that either.
Yeah. Is this something that your children do?
They have. You can roll your tongue backwards, right? Is it you or Rami can roll your tongue backwards?
My eyes or my tongue?
Tongue.
I mean, roll my tongue backwards.
Completely make it flip all the way back. That's Rami then.
Like that?
Completely inverted, like a reverse wave of your tongue. Like a crest of a wave, right? Completely go backwards.
Twist like this?
No, I mean, I can't do it. That's why I can't show it. This way. Yeah. So you touch the bottom of the top of your tongue with
I can't do it without using the roof of my mouth.
Yeah, without using your roof of your mouth. You can actually do that. Yeah.
Oh, is you saying going
That's
the other
impressive.
way?
Yeah.
Not going like that way, going the
No,
other way.
going
No,
that way.
But not using the roof of your mouth to press it down.
Oh.
That's what.
It's Rami can do that. His brother can. And I think he can do the other thing where your tongue has like a funky shape to it in the front. Like the sides are lifted up from
I can do like this.
that one you can do, yeah.
That one. That one.
Those are all genetic trait things.
So
You
he
know
gets
that?
that from the Egyptian
Yeah,
side.
definitely,
of the
100%.
family.
I can touch my nose. I can touch my tongue with my
That's
nose.
another one of those. Yeah.
That's
It's a fun fact.
that's just a Pierre. So, tell me, tell the audience, who are you? Why are we talking with you today?
Very strange people
Yeah.
that talk about weird things like this. That's all. That's just, some people you found off the street.
Yeah. Who's Foreign Co?
Four & Co. is our company that Pierre, Rami, Ramon, and myself, we are a family of four, hence the name Four and Co. Co are our members and everyone that's in the building with us.
I feel like I need to contact a lawyer for Bubba over here, who is just completely left out of the entire brand.
Bubba is the mascot. He is the face of the brand.
Gets nothing, no recognition.
Bubs, right?
whatsoever.
Like, yeah.
He'd be
I'll swim my way
the
through.
mascot of demand that we couldn't keep up with. People would always only come to the building for Bubba.
It's true.
Then we'd be pimping out our dog, which I refused to do in college with cute girls. I refused to pimp out Bubba.
Easily to have done, too.
Easily could have done. Bubba is.
Bubba has been a therapy dog in the sense that in our other location in Clearwater, we had a speech therapist who did children, and she also saw children with disabilities. So many times they are uncomfortable coming into a new place or something when they have to go see a therapist, and especially it's a unknown location. But they'd see Bubba, and they'd want him to sit down on the sessions with him. So he'd go up and he'd sit down and lay down next to them, and they'd do their speech therapy and pet him at the same time. And he'd walk back downstairs when they were done, and he'd go up with the next one when they were in. So whoever needed Bubba as a therapy dog was more than happy to oblige.
That's awesome. You never got him officially certified?
No.
You think you could?
Absolutely,
could.
yeah. He's that
super
chill and
chill,
that,
yeah.
He's very easygoing and does not get riled up unless someone riles him. So you have to have
Right.
someone actually go at him for him to
Right.
attack back at you. He'll play attack with
Sure.
us if we start playing with him like that.
Yeah.
But he's just all play. He's lots of snarls and growls, but none of it's real.
So when did you start doing co-working? Like, Clearwater was your first location.
It
but-
was. My husband and I had the office building since 2000 actually. And in 2018, it was basically an empty building. We just had our travel agency, which occupied a very small amount of space. And Pierre was home from college at that moment. And we had a sit-down meeting as a family and said, okay, guys, what do you want to do with the building? Because it's going to be yours at some point in the future. And you're old enough. You guys have a vote here. What's your thought? And Pierre's the first one that piped up and said, co-working. We're like, okay, great. Love it. What is it? We had no clue what he was talking about. So he described it to us and went, actually, that's pretty perfect. It can't be much better for defining what we'd like to see. As a side note, my husband and I had a travel agency for 30 plus years, and we led groups, corporate events, executive meetings, all kinds of things like that. And I specialized in corporate a lot, and I kind of fell into the movie production industry, helping move logistics and crews around on site. And with that, I had a lot of experience with that. And the boys grew up having that experience with us because they would travel with us.
And be shoved in closets while we travel.
Shoved in a closet. Just get out of sight, kid.
Play the game of how invisible can you be?
Here, under that tablecloth. There's that kind of thing.
There's candy under there, I promise.
It's either that or being shipped to England.
That too.
Okay.
Well, they go to Atlantis for their own vacation,
Oh, not this one again.
but that's a different conversation.
Listen, you were a child at the time?
Yes,
I don't give a crap.
I know.
Listen,
While
you
your
know
other
what I'm getting
sibling-
for my birthday?
But while your
my
other-
children are going away.
While your other sibling accompanies your parents on that trip and your cousin.
It was not a vacation. It was a work trip.
That's hurtful.
It was hurtful. and they swam with dolphins.
What are you gonna do? Okay. I was gonna say, what are you gonna do at Atlantis? That's exactly what
He
I wanted as a
They swam with
child.
dolphins.
He was at the soccer camp.
Yeah, Mr. Protege,
Conveniently.
who couldn't make it in England.
I didn't choose a date of the business trip.
Whatever. Onward we go.
So you did a lot of travel
There's some
agencies for
resentment left
large
over there.
video
Yeah.
production.
Right.
Shoved your children in closets.
Yes, they got to observe people working
Mm,
a lot.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
peeking out from the closet or under
Yeah.
the tablecloth, etc.
hmm
And they observed what works, what doesn't work. And with that, Pierre had this vision that we could do co-working and we could elevate it to a different level of trying to make work better, not just having a facility and a place and say, here's an office or here's a space you can work, or here's an open room with 500 other people that you just really want to sit in the middle of. Not really. So we said, oh, you know what? You're right. And for us, it was the hospitality industry in the workplace. How could we convert working to be more enjoyable, more balanced? And we retrofitted the building. 7 months later, it was filled. And we said to each other, I think we kind of figured this out. We understand the concept and how it works and what dynamics work with it. Our innate ability to watch people and love people watching, go to the airports, that's what we do for fun. You know, we make up stories. We sit in a restaurant and we'll watch couples and we'll make stories up about them and stuff.
The
You know,
game of
just
find the air marshal.
right.
It's a fun game.
That was entertainment for us. That and Uno all over the world. Our Uno cards have traveled with us everywhere. So we did a lot of that, and in being able to do it in an office space, and then we filled that one and went, well, let's dream a little bigger. Let's see what we could do here. Because it's something, for us, travel was evolving. It was no longer fun. COVID had happened, and the airlines have made it miserable for a long time, but really tanked it during COVID. And that, for us, was like, okay, I'm ready to hang that hat up and move on in life. But I'm not done working. And I really still enjoy what I do with helping people. And it's our time to give back and do something to help others. And we've been entrepreneurs our entire work lives, myself particularly. And for me, I felt there was a need. There was something I could give value to. So why not try to do that? And what better way than to do it with my family, who also, is Pierre and Rami, being younger and having a lot of fresh ideas and also understand the current workforce better than I do and my husband does. They could bring a lot more value in. And that's where really Pierre's strategic thinking came in with, how do you lay a building out? You know, he drew it out for the architect and said, here you go. And does this make sense? Can we do this? And the architect comes back with 2 rectangles. We're like, okay, not quite. You can't quite mastered our concept here. He came back with another one, 2 rectangles and a square in the middle. All right, a little closer, but not quite where our vision was going. So he's like, now he's confused. And he's like, so you really want the shape of this building? I'm like, yeah, we really like the shape of this building. We thought this out, and we gave him all our reasons why. And because we are not professional construction developers, but we've learned a lot, and now I think we might be. At this point, we gave them our Pinterest boards, which I don't know how many there are. I have to count them up at one point. But they had all our design ideas, and like, these are the reasons why we're doing this, and this is what we're looking for, and this is how we want to see it. And he went, oh, okay, I got it now. I understand the vision here, where you're going with it. So then he came back and says, you really like the shape of this building? I'm like, yeah, we just want to make it structurally sound. You know, the sound of the noise in the central part, having noisy parts on one wing of the building, quieter parts in other wings of the building, the purposes of each of the wings and what they're doing and the functionality of it all. And he said, okay. So then he really kind of got in our groove and understood where our thought process originated from, what we wanted out of it. And then he came back with what we needed. And then Rami went to work with the colors and the choices and working with our furniture team. And we poured through, I don't know, thousands of materials and choices of what everything would look like. And Rami's the one who really was in command of that and went through and said, this is the feel and the vibe we're looking for. This is what we're doing here. And we put it together. In the meantime, my husband, Ramon, he's always our naysayer. He's always the one that comes back and gives us, yeah, but or gives us the negative of something. If you get a new rug, it's like, hope the dog doesn't pee on it. It's like, really? That's that's where we need to go with that thought. That's a nice rug. I like it. That's but because he has that element, it helps us, and also
Balances
being
you
able
out.
to overcome. I'm always head in the clouds in the dreamer, and everyone else helps bring me down off of those clouds and into reality and go, okay, yeah, that's a nice thought, but let's make this real. Where Ramon is very good at being able to even us out. And if we can overcome his concern or worry, then we know that we've probably encountered the worst of someone else's.
Yeah.
So we can get through that too.
Yeah.
And then Pierre, very much a forward-thinking person, and he's very operationally sound, and I've got to have a operating manual and procedures in place, and this has to set this way and this way and this way. So he keeps us very balanced in making sure that we're running smoothly, and not just with me with my, well, that's a great thought, let's go over this direction, and I squirrel off and whatever I'm going to think or do. He keeps us reined back in reality, and like, okay, come on, we got to get down the highway here.
Sounds like Ramon is very, practical on operations. Rami's just the creative guy. Pierre, you're kind of the sort of the operations, but I don't know, I'm trying to figure you out at the moment. But you seem to be the creative operations. So you think of directions to go for business, but you're really creative with it. And you just like, I guess what you try to help with all three of them is like, well, let's get organized. Am I accurate on your balanced family here?
Yeah, and I would say I'm more of the one looking ahead for everybody, and I don't want to call myself the visionary, but definitely the one like thinking about like tomorrow, thinking about like the day after.
Yeah, I get that.
And kind of like how do we have our operations work for not just today, but how do we have it work for tomorrow?
She's like steps 4, 5, 6, and you're like, okay, well, to do that, we need to do steps 1, 2, 3.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And it's like we got to do these things right so we can do those steps, and
then he'll follow and say, okay, here's 6 steps, 7, 8, 9, 10, because then once part of that's laid out, then it makes it easier to think further down the road. So, yes, very much so. He's chief operations officer, but he's also should be chief strategy officer. So he should have a dual role there. I'm just chief squirreler. That's just my title. I like that title very much.
Yeah.
Because it does suit me in that I get to be a bit free, much more so than I've ever been in world of work. I've had creativity aspects of what I do, and I've enjoyed that. But this really lets me just do whatever my head is saying, and because we do listen to each other, and we've had some knockdown dragouts, and I've said this before, we should have had odd numbers because there's 4 of us, and we very often will have 2 and 2. So we have made it a rule that it must be majority rules, and we have to now convince another one of us that that's the right way to go. And that can be hard because we have very set thought process and patterns, and you never know which 2 are going to be on the same side with each other, which is interesting. It's not always the same exact 2. So there are different reasons for that. It depends on the circumstance. If it's a design thing, we don't let Ramon decide on anything. Poor man. Not that he has bad taste.
Has he accepted that though? Like, is he like okay with that, or is he
very
like
much so.
Okay? Because sometimes someone like me, a lot of times I'm like, look, I'm not a design guru at the end of the day, so I do lean on someone's. But does he feel like he is an amazing designer and doesn't get the recognition?
He is a little insulted that we don't trust his design sense. I will say that much.
But it'll be wood paneling, beige, tan,
mahogany
wood.
Very classical and traditional.
Hey, I could respect that though.
There are parts of that I think that we should give an homage to Dad at some point and give him a room that just has
Just
that.
one room.
And the other part of it should die in the 90s where it started, to be
No, it
honest.
didn't start there.
Or wherever it did, because,
Centuries ago. Yeah.
that it's
It's a bit much, right?
too much.
But yeah, no, he is very much okay with us leading the charge on those things. But he does have his input, and he's very strong-minded and will put down his foot. If he doesn't agree with it at all, he'll let us know. And then sometimes he bends us to his will. The 3 of us might be totally against him, but then we eventually are like, all right, I kind of see your reasoning there.
Yep.
And it comes to pass. But he's also, he keeps our bookkeeping straight. He keeps us on path so that we're not veering off in the wrong directions. But there's so much that goes into what we would like to do, where we're at right now.
Yeah, what is your big picture right now? I mean, it's okay
strategy.
to
I'll
dream,
lead
right?
the way.
Big picture is to essentially do as many of these as we can. The way we go about doing it, it's more or less whatever makes the most sense. And with commercial real estate, and it's kind of funny because people ask us like, so like, what industry are you in? Are you in hospitality? Are you in commercial real estate? Are you in an operator? Like, what are you? And we're kind of all of them. And so, but we mostly operate in commercial real estate. So our industry is dictated by commercial real estate pulse. So right now with commercial real estate on the brink of absolute collapse in the sense of a lot of big players losing a lot of money because of vacancies and not being able to fill spaces and stuff like that, there's going to be a huge shakeup with the industry as a whole. That means there'll be probably fire sales on properties. There'll be knockdowns of certain locations. And it's kind of, in a way, the best strategy for us going forward is to kind of see how this cookie's going to crumble and see where the opportunities lie. But the end goal is to bring this value to other communities. Essentially, that is the broad vision.
Yes, so you're not trying to go downtown like WeWork and Industrious.
We have.
Would you say that seems to be your niche when it comes to like your competition with like larger companies like that?
Or advantage or niche?
Exactly.
Sure, both. Yeah.
And for us, it's we look at the downtown markets usually as served markets. It's business 101. If you're going to open a new business, where should you open it? An unserved market. So for us, there's just so many communities like Pasco and Land O'Lakes that they have a high demand for office space need and something like this. But because it's in the middle of Tennessee and Asheville, that no one really cares about, it's not sexy to the people that don't know about it. Yeah. No big bank or big conglomerate's going to say, let's go in there. Yeah. Right? It's usually the developers and the local supermarkets and stuff like that really start waving the flags to everybody to like come on in, like this is a good area. So for us, we very much will always be our bread and butter is, I don't want to call them bedroom communities, but the suburbs.
I mean, there've been co-working places in the suburbs, but like from my experience, you know, you weren't getting like a big building with a lot of amenities, with a lot of the hospitality, the design that you guys are bringing. It was just like, here's a building and here's an office and that's a podcast room now, and like there's a fridge and a microwave, and it was like cool. Practically speaking, this is a co-working space. The experience is not the co-working space that I'm trying to go for. And you guys seem to say like, all right, we're tired of having the only experience of something like this downtown, so let's bring it to the suburbs. So that's where it's like no one can compete with you in that situation.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and to a degree, we very much want to model. There's so many different industries that we model ourselves after because we apply. Like when people ask us, like, so who's your target audience? We're like, anybody that needs office space. And I hate to say like where we appease everybody. Well, we kind of do. Like that's kind of generally who we serve is. I mean, we have every single industry I could think of probably represented in this building in some capacity, whether it's ancillary or part of an industry that isn't directly part of an industry but is a smaller part of a cog in the wheel, part of that industry. I mean, it is absolutely insane the amount of people we touch and the businesses that we cross-pollinate with and we're able to attract. So for us, we really don't see, I don't want to say that we don't see opportunity in downtown, is the downtown carnage is going to be the first carnage to happen. And the co-working space in the suburbs, it's not novel. It's not a novel idea. And anyone that has lived in the suburbs most of their life has probably seen something close to it, whether it's executive suites with a co-working vibe or it's a co-working space that just isn't fully fleshed out in its idea and it's what it wants to be. And I mean, there's a lot of smaller operators that are operating in the suburbs. I would go on a limb and say we are probably the first co-working space in the nation to be a developed building built from the ground up solely dedicated to co-working space. So it's not a refurb. It's not anything like that. No, we built this building intending to be a co-working space. Where most buildings, it's we need to make extra money on square footage, so let's just throw a co-working space in there.
Right.
And for us, I could pretty much say we are the first built ground up, and probably in the country.
Yeah.
For that purpose, 100% all the square footage used to co-working. So for us, I think that is definitely a first, and there's just so much opportunity out there because as the businesses become more abundant, teams become smaller, right? Because people more are now working for themselves and they don't need large teams. And with the help of technology, you don't need a lot of equipment space, even with photographers. I mean, the equipment storage space you need now compared to 10 years ago is probably half the size.
Oh, yeah.
Just due to the nature of technology and just everything becoming more compact.
Yeah.
So with that's the same thing with teams. Like that's why you don't see 10,000 square foot of office space like selling like hotcakes, because most people don't have the need to fill up 10,000 square feet of space. And most businesses in this country are small to medium-sized businesses, so anywhere from 1 to 100 people. I mean, very few. Like mostly, I would say, like anyone in the Fortune 500 companies. Like those are the companies that like have huge. They're in like the multiple hundreds, thousands of employees. But most of the country is made up of small businesses. And that's what we're to serve, is small businesses and medium-sized businesses that need office space and need a cool place on their own and couldn't afford or would never get to something like a Silicon Valley building. But why did they get to benefit and not everybody else from those kind of buildings?
Right. I mean,
Class A buildings don't have to be in a downtown only. They can be in the suburbs. It's just a lot of developers and building owners do not want to take a risk.
Sure.
It's unknown for them, and they are not well versed in how to make it work. I don't want to teach them necessarily.
At least right now.
Right, exactly. You give your secret sauce away in a sense, but there is a lot of those elements that we do understand intrinsically. And it is part of the benefit of having the world experience that we've had and being able to travel and view things in a different light and see what other places are doing and how other people work. And then bringing that home and going, okay, well, how can we mix that in with our own environment? And it makes sense in our little niche Pasco community. But then we think, okay, we're going to go and do other things. What do we want to specialize in? And how do we want to differentiate ourselves? Because they're going to all catch up at some point. They're all going to learn. We'll have enough people visit us through the building and they'll go, oh, I get it. Okay, now I need to have a podcast here. I need to have a photo studio. I need to do this. I need to do that. Okay, yeah, maybe you do. But there are other parts of it, too, that you're just looking at the outside picture of it. But we do see there is a need for a media-type building where you have media specialists, and it's toned and tuned to their needs and also can help others. We're in such a social media climate of doing business these days. It's intrinsically part of everyone's business. I don't care if you're the pool cleaner or if you're a developer or you're whatever. You're somehow on social media in some format. And that's important because that's now how you advertise. That's how you get out in front of people and you relate who you are in your business. And they want to see you're authentically you. You're a real person. They still need that connection. Even though we're very digital, they still want a human connection through that digital. So you have to do that in a small business format to let people connect with you. That is in this building all over the place. You see it everywhere. Everyone's doing it in some format. Well, that's just a new way of doing business, period. There's no, it's not because this is this building. No, this is just the new way. And you're going to fall behind and fall by the wayside if you don't change some of your methods and fall into line to some extent in that way. So there will be needs that we are already talking about. The next build is what would we do to tune each office to make that more conducive, right? And how is that going to be just part of the setup already? Making buildings that have multi-purpose but have a specialty to it that would be more, people in a certain industry would be more inclined to use it than another industry. We can serve multiple buildings in the same community doing it that way as well. So we don't have to necessarily go to Charlotte or Anchorage. We can stay in the Tampa Bay market and still do another 5 or 6 buildings that have different needs depending on what they're doing, where they're at. So there's a lot of that part that now we're in that planning stage for the future. There will always be the standard and the model, and we had to get this one up and fill it and tweak it and see how it's doing. And, people watch in our own building rather than people watch at an airport. So we can see how people are utilizing the space. What do they need? What are their comments coming back? Having town hall type meetings, getting feedback. That helps us make it better and build also the future that's even more so, that is just already spot on what the needs are and where the future is going with it. And that's something Pierre and I talk extensively about. And then we drag Rami and Ramon into these conversations, so we are very much a business family. There's no question about it. We try to maintain some free time and have some thing besides of a life besides work. But
we spend most of our days waking up talking about business and going to bed talking about business. Like it's very much essentially who we are, and we live and breathe everything.
And do you enjoy that?
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to, honestly, like when I think about it, I wouldn't want to live life any other way. Like talking about like headlines and stuff like that, I mean, would bore me to death. And it's something, business for me is more like progress. And if you're progressing towards something that's helping other people, it definitely makes it more like exciting, because it's something that you can constantly improve and constantly see some kind of reward for it, whether it's in people's like general like mood, general like life situation or stuff like that. For us, it's that instant feedback, because just making, like, for example, like when our elevator started working again, the amount of people that like were happy, just like those little simple things, but in the middle of it, you learn about how devilish like elevator companies can be.
Yeah.
And like these like,
and didn't have the ice maker, the coffee maker, and the elevator out all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was like we want to hide for cover, don't they?
And it's things like that where like, it's not business related, it's just part of operations. But like for us, like, I don't know, implementing this building into this community was probably the coolest thing I've ever done to date in my life. 100%. Like just watching the
You've
amount
just jumped off cliff sides in Hawaii and
but
paraglided off the Alps and
had lasagna in England.
Right. From scratch.
But this seeing how many lives that this building has like affected and helped in its short time it existing has been more than I could ever imagine and pray for and wish for, because it's just absolutely it's what I want to keep doing, and just fixing these problems in these areas of this work-life balance, or this not having an opportunity or platform to do anything, and you having to work with like the absolute bare minimum. It's like going to a new community and giving them like a power saw when they've been using like a rock.
Sure.
And like just banging on it. It's like that's what it feels like, the equivalent. And it's like you open up all these new possibilities of what could be done.
Yeah.
When we built the building, we never envisioned having a church in the building. My husband's always wanted to be a building that God is represented somehow in some way. And that's always been very important to all of us. But to have a church here was not part of the original vision. We were thrilled and knocked over with a feather, basically, that Tom wanted to start a church here. And we're like, wow, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's figure this out. That's pretty amazing, because it brought something that was meant to be to life. And it was definitely a God-driven thought, and here it is. And now we've got two churches operating from the building. And we've got other churches represented in the building. And just the thought that was even possible it's amazing. Just sit back and say, yeah, it can be possible with your life.
Part of me is a little surprised that you didn't think that was going to happen, because I knew that I figured there were going to be churches knocking at your door before you even opened, because I saw that as an opportunity. You're in the suburbs. You're in the community. I mean, and so I'm curious, as you think about the next building, you think about the next plan. I'm curious of a few things of like maybe what you would do differently, but I'm just curious if one of your plans is to maybe accommodate a church easier in their next building.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
Whether it's some kind of event space that can do that, or we partner with a church and we kind of do a master development in an area where you have kind of what Bexley's done to some degree here, but integrating having a church now and next to us as being a neighbor, and maybe strategically partnering with those kind of businesses and churches as well, that we can pretty much, where we move they move, and where they move we move, type thing, because it's kind of, if it was just us alone here and we had no hub and we had no Spring Hill Suites and we had none of that, we'd be doomed to fail for the most part. I think maybe, I don't know. I know that's a big hypothetical.
You think if you didn't have some of the amenities around here, if you didn't have the neighborhood,
then I would say like the other commercial spaces, like, and stuff like that.
I don't know.
I
don't
actually
know.
disagree with you, but
I don't, and that's not. It's an absolute hypothetical. It's just.
If anything, I thought you brought business to them, but.
I think that's true.
There is that as well.
Have.
Yeah, the catalyst this building has been more than I ever expected, and the members here have just absolutely taken it and ran with it, and to new heights, and they do it every day. I mean, the amount of networking and trading of business and just serendipitous moments that happen on a daily basis in here for so many different people is just insane. We're
watching like a little friendship group that's kind of budded, and it's kind of really nice to see that as adults, we don't make friends easily because we're too busy in our own lives. So we're not really out there making friends. But now I'm seeing a group of 7-8 people they developed a friendship just because they're all in the building. And they found a common interest at some point, and now they went out and had an ice cream social yesterday. Things like that just doesn't happen in the norm.
Yeah, organic things happening is you want them to happen.
Exactly.
You can't once you control it, it's not organic.
Right.
This wraps up part 1 of this episode. Hey, if you want to know more about Paper Jacket, please go to paper-jacket.com and you'll see what kind of media we provide. If you are wanting to know when the next episode comes out, all you have to worry about is subscribing, and then you will be notified right away. So make sure to subscribe to the Paper Jacket podcast, and we'll see you on our next episode of part 2 with Foreign Co. as we talk more about how they built multiple businesses from their family and how they used marketing to do that. We'll see you then.